Hey, hey, hey! Oh, I don't hear you. There, I should hear you. No? Hello, hello? What is going on, my friend? You are not muted, but I don't hear you. We did not do our test. Hold on, hold on, hold on. I don't know what's going on here. Well, let's take a look. Very interesting. Can you hear me? Shake your head yes. You could hear me. I can hear you. Well, hello, everybody who's watching. Can you guys hear us? Can you guys hear us out there? I don't know what's going on right now. This is very odd. We don't usually have a technical difficulty like this. I do not hear the juggernaut himself, though. Let's see. Sound. I'm going to ask them in the chat. Okay, I got Julie saying she can hear me. So I guess I'm live in the chat, but Jesse is not. So Jesse, I don't know if you need to rebootify or whatever, but in the meantime, Jesse's gone. Hello, hello. Welcome to the live stream of consciousness. That's what happens when you are live and streaming live. So I'm here by myself right now, but I just wanted to say thank you to the Rams Network, and Jesse's popped back on.
Check.
There he is.
Check.
Thank God.
Can you hear me now?
Saved by the juggernaut.
I guess just the connection's a little weird sometimes here on StreamYard.
Very, very strange.
I got kicked off last time. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live stream of consciousness. I am so excited. We've got my brother, which, you know, he's not on the show just because he's my brother, but my brother, Cody Blue Snider, who's a writer, director, producer, and he is... He's a brilliant guy who's done a lot of soul searching and spiritual inner work, and has worked extensively with ayahuasca and works with a larger group, and basically in this part of an advocacy group. And my family just recently filmed a video that he set up, him and his fiance Tanya, to advocate for plant medicine and the plant medicine path, which most of my family, other than my father, has been on. So we're going to have him on a little bit later. He'll be
and he's a Snider.
He's a Snider. Yes, he's a good egg. I love that. Cody.
Yeah. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm super stoked too. So, how was your week, sir? What's going on?
You know what? I actually had a phenomenal week. Let's just say hello to some people here. We got Steve Sage out there.
Steve Sage.
We got Taylor out there. Jesse hates
Chris.
me.
Hey, Courtney.
Yes. What's happening, folks? Good to see you guys.
1, 2, 3.
Good to see you guys. I had a phenomenal
Join us over on the on YouTube Live or on Twitch on the Rock Against MS network on Twitch.
Yes.
I'll post the link in just a second.
Yes, it comes up also automatically every once in a while.
Yeah,
but let me answer your damn question. Holy moly.
How was your week?
I had a phenomenal week, really, actually. You know, our show, we told the story last week or the week before about how it's kind of starting to send little ripples out there and affecting people. And it kind of made me take a step back and say, you know what, I think I need to apply some of this to myself. And I've been really focusing on what my intentions are, what my goals are, and making steps towards them. I made a couple of phone calls this week that were just phenomenal about the future and about some opportunities and about what I want to be doing. And it all involves this stuff. It involves getting out from behind the camera into in front of the camera. I told you about another show I'm doing. I started that. So
that's great.
A lot of great stuff happening, man.
I love this. I'm trying to comment with the comments of the thing. I'm gonna close this live, guys, and join me over there. I'll talk to you guys later, but I'm gonna post a link with how you can do it. So there's plenty of people saw that. So my week
multi-living.
My what do you call it?
What do you call it?
What do you call it? Traveling has been crazy. I was with the babies, and then I came back and I had to get my shit together. And my girlfriend, Julie, me and her have just been going out for a little bit, but I'm so smitten with her. And she just shows up like so. Just, I mean, perfect is like the only way I could describe it. And she just happened to have off for the 2 days when I got back, and she just kind of
Oh, sweet.
helped me get my ducks in a row. And I got to just kind of decompress after just being flying around. So that was really nice. I just like came home to chill, and that
Cool.
was great. And then my mom reached out to me. And so this is like
Suzette. I'm
some
gonna
deep stuff.
rearrange while you're talking. So go ahead. Yes, yes.
So this is some conscious things. And this is so funny to me. She reached out to me to say that she had something very, very deep and hard for her to connect to.
Okay.
And I mean, I see why it's hard for her to connect to, in that she's only connected at it till now. I had not confronted her with it exactly. She said to me something to the effect of like, when we were talking, like, I was always waiting for you to say it and you never did.
Hmm.
And it's funny because I just kind of thought like, and I know I'm speaking in vagaries, but you'll understand a little better in a second.
Vagaries. Yeah,
That like, I don't know, it was unspoken, like it was obvious, kind of thing. But I guess for her, because I didn't say it, she was kind of like letting herself off the hook unconsciously.
Mhm,
And she said she kind of knew whatever.
mhm.
But because it was connected to this larger thing that kind of came into focus for her and made her realize that she wasn't exactly treating me fairly. But it's
Mhm.
so funny because it's the thing that so much led to our interactions being less than to her satisfaction over
Mhm.
the past bunch of years, which basically to say this, my mom's a hot-blooded Italian, and she's become much better. All of us, we've grown leaps and bounds. But when I was younger, if you really like set her off, she could say some things. I'll just say, and sometimes you would just be like, what?
Yeah.
What, like insane things. Like where you would be
That
like,
link.
have we left the planet? Like, and at the same time, it was like mom was boss. Like, dad kowtows to mom. Like, and you just kind of be like, all right, it's your world. I'm just living in it. Like
Yeah,
a
totally.
little bit.
Right.
But she came very sweetly, and this was a very, very hard thing for her to come to. But she's been working on this book, and it's been very cathartic, and I'm not going to really reveal anything in the book. It's for her to reveal in the future. But she's really getting into her past in a deep way, and realizing that she kind of like plowed through a lot of things and blacked out a lot of things, and
Mm.
wasn't really like completely conscious of all the decisions she was making. And one of the things that she did when things were a little wibbly wobbly with my dad and her, and she was getting things back onto the path, was that she was straight up out the door. Like, dude, do it the way I need you to do it, or I'm out the door. Do it the way I need you to do it, or I'm out the door.
Mhm.
And there was this big thing of, she connected to the Snider family. And, she used to kind of insult me and my dad by calling us Sniders. And because we were alike, and we were alike some of the family. And some of these things are, and I tried to kind of give her a better perspective on it, because it's a little bit of like big picture thinking. Sometimes you drop out the small picture. If you're not good at big picture thinking, it's very easy to drop out the small picture,
Sure.
and seem callous and uncaring and so many other things. And I think it has to do with a desire, a sort of an alignment towards righteousness,
Mhm, mhm.
and a righteous desire to make things better. And that sort of righteousness can be off. It can wrap with your ego. It can be off-putting. And also this super hyper focus, on the eye on the prize thing, where sometimes we miss things. Granted, I could say there's a lot of selfishness on the side of in the side of Snyder's that she's speaking of. But
Okay.
I would say that, you know, at the times that these people, for whatever reason, you know, they didn't feel like she needed or deserved that, and they felt that they deserved whatever it was that they were, you know, space they were taking for themselves. You know me, I try to always like give everybody the benefit of the doubt. But
Yeah.
suffice to say, my mom was
I mean,
on this thing of like, we got this Snyder type behavior of like not being thoughtful, and you know, we're gonna nip it in the butt with dad. Inadvertently, she now realizes, even though like I would think this all the time, because like she would get mad at me because not that I would like curse at her, but I would curse. I mean, come on, mom, fuck you. Like but like not like fuck you, mom. I
don't
would be like, oh come on,
know.
fuck you. Like I would just I would be really kind of casual about my language.
Right.
And she was like mortified. And every time she was mortified, I was kind of just like, are you serious right now? Like,
Yeah.
do you know the things that you have said to me in anger, like in arguments? Like, oh my goodness, like colorful things, mom.
Sounds like we got a Snyder ego battle happening.
Well, well, I eventually literally caved to nothing. Like, so like I put away that fight, you know, but that was true. What was kind of going on,
Sure.
because I wasn't saying that. She couldn't admit that thing, you know, of like, oh, come on, mom. Like, this is how you've talked to me. I'm sorry that I'm getting frustrated and talking similar to how you and I have,
I
you know, like,
learned it from watching you.
yeah, I learned it from watching you, mom. Yeah, but in this, but now, you know, she's coming back and she's saying, I'm sorry, because really what she said, and at the time when she really did it, and it was a long time ago, so it was weird for her to bring it up because it had broken my heart at the time.
Mhm.
But she was kicking me out, you know, kind of thing.
Right.
She was going to disown me. Like she used to tell me she was going to disown me, and she feels really bad about it now, and she's very sorry. And I mean, I got over it. I mean, on some level, a long time ago, but I mean, I kind of, you know, it hit me. You know, at the time, I was very like, oh my god, did she just say she's going to disown me? Like, oh my, like, you know, as I'm just developing as a kid and like making honest mistakes and stuff, like, and she realizes now that if, you know, she kind of pushed me away, and eventually, you know, that energy kind of worked itself out and I felt more comfortable being pushed away.
Right.
You know, and so she was, you know, very, very apologetic, and you know,
Great.
and I it was very sweet, and it was strange how I couldn't like connect to the thing, but so funny that that I'm thinking the thing the whole time, and she's quietly like, is he gonna say the thing? Like, and I'm like, I don't have to say the thing. You know the thing, right? You know that you say these
The
things, right?
Snyder family is growing. It's so great. All
But
of
yeah, it
you
was
guys.
amazing, and it's funny, you know. She said, you know, too, and this is really important, you know. Like she used to think that words didn't mean anything, and
Mhm.
I came to sort of appreciate that to a certain degree. Like, you know, I have a
Mhm.
balanced perspective on it. You know, there's one hand where I'm like, yeah, we gotta be nice to each other, especially like in like close corners. Same
Mhm.
time, I'm like, yeah, we also got to get over shit, because like the only way we can live in a world where we can't control
Mhm.
every individual is where
Mhm.
we can handle things when they're, you know, go awry.
Right.
So, you know, it's a little bit of both.
Right. And it's tough because then you're like, well, I thought you said we gotta, you know, treat each other nice. And you gotta have both. Like you're saying, it's a
Yeah.
balance.
So
You
I
know,
mean, I'm glad that like
gotta let shit go sometimes.
yeah, exactly. I'm glad that I can handle a conversation, a colorful conversation. And, you know, I mean, really, it's like, you know, after having some of the conversations with my mother, who I was so compromised by. So like to
Right.
hear her say some of those things was really trying at the time. Over time, though, I went like, all right, well, she just gets really upset and she says things and she doesn't necessarily mean these things. And like, you
Right.
know, and you know, you adjust to the people that you love. And you know, but it was really amazing, you know, that she came around and said this. And my inner guidance, my spiritual guidance, when I've meditated for a long time now, has been, you get this together, you put this away, and she will too. And I have, and
That's great.
you know,
Yeah.
and I mean, and this kind of stemmed from the other day. We had this, incident where I had my kids over the house, and it was really just like a perfect storm, because my brain is just always going, and the traveling thing. I think we were about to leave the next day, or I had work the next day. I
Right.
think it was I had to leave the next morning with the kids, so I had to pack the kids. I had to do a whole bunch of things, and I was sitting on the floor with Grayson, and I was trying to get him some sort of snack, and he just wasn't really happy with my snack options. And at first, I was like, "Burp, burp, get used to it, son of a bitch," there's not going to be so many snack options at this house.
Right. Life is not all about snack options.
Yes, and then I saw his face, and
Oh,
and I just had them at my place for 3 days, and I just was thinking like, "Oh, well, I don't want him to feel like he's not comfortable here because he can't have his snacks." And I just kind of got like a little heartbroken, and I went like, "All right, well, let me see what we can find." And I went up to the cabinet and I start looking at the snacks, and I have a lot of things to do. I have a lot of things on my mind, but I'm like taking a break to do this, like so that I can make my kid happy. And I look in the cabinet, I see a chocolate bunny, and I don't know where it came from. I'm assuming it's like my mom or my dad's. But the main thing I think is my mom says she's on diet. She doesn't want any candy. So I'm like, okay, cool. So that's probably fair game. So I grabbed the bunny and I'm like, would you want a chocolate bunny? And he was like, yeah, like I'm interested in that. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I give it to him. And before I can like really have like another thought, like he runs around like the thing. And my mom sees that he's got the bunny and she's like, that's my bunny. You didn't ask me like if he could have that bunny. And I went, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I wasn't thinking, is it okay if he has the bunny? And she's like, well, I mean, like, I guess it is now. Like that bunny meant
yeah.
something to me.
You can't
Like
say no. Yeah.
Cheyenne gave that to me. That was a gift. Like I didn't know like any of these things,
Mm,
but I just did not think far enough into it. I thought one thing and I was like, okay, that'll be
what's up,
okay.
Patty?
Yeah. And hey Patty. And I was like, that'll be okay. And I should have thought further if I was not so like stressed. I would have normally thought further.
Right. Right. Right.
And
So how did your mom handle it?
but she took it so badly,
Oh.
like that it was just a sign of my selfishness and like
Oh.
all this stuff. And like she like immediately started kind of like crap talking to me to my dad. Can you believe it? And I went, Mom, I'm sorry. I said I was sorry immediately. I didn't mean to do that. I swear. I didn't think. I totally agree with you. I should have asked you. I
Right. Well, you
whoops.
know what? I
You
mean,
know?
even
No,
though I
no,
think you go ahead. Go ahead.
well, hold on, just because
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it just kind of escalated with her being really upset, but they immediately left. And things with us have been very good. And, basically a perspective began to be taken on of, hey, Jesse's really trying.
Right.
Jesse's been really doing good and
Right.
he's making efforts all over the place.
So she felt bad.
And are we really gonna just destroy him for one mistake when he did apologize and
Right.
he
Right.
said he
Right.
didn't mean to do it,
Okay.
and I immediately started getting messages, back, and her, she started, this is what led, I think, to her contemplating this. And she's been contemplating a lot of things. She's been writing, all this stuff for the book. And, it really just, I think the lesson for everybody out there listening is, it pays to open up, a journal if you feel good about it, but just open up the book in your mind of your past when you get a chance, especially
Mhm.
if you're
Mhm.
somebody who's dealing with injury, if you're dealing with difficulty in your family, you
Mhm.
know, the more you can understand yourself, the better you can understand these things, and it
Right.
pained my mom that she realized that, she accidentally did the same thing she was doing to her husband, who, she was keeping the family together for me most of
Right.
all, and she inadvertently did the same thing with me and pushed me away. And she's been blaming me for, pushing her away her whole life. And
Right.
she realizes at this very pivotal time in my life, she really did push me away pretty good.
Right.
Eh,
But I mean, that's the whole thing about this self-reflection. It like
yeah.
you start to realize who you are and how you're affecting people, and
And let me just say too, my mom during this time, she lost the three most important people in her life. She lost her mother, she
mm,
lost her brother, and she lost her half brother.
Wow.
all in quick succession within like 3 years.
Mhm.
So, my mother was really going through depression at this time and a lot of things. Granted, it's hard to take these things, and I appreciated the apology, and I hope I can like feel it a little more because as of right now, it's been a
Yeah,
little
you
bit.
will for sure.
I've been like, that's kind of cool. I think like I was waiting for that, but I think it was
Good.
like 30 years ago that I wanted that. So I think maybe
Right.
I'm like I don't know how connected I am to it anymore.
But everything
Because
happens
I
when it's
have,
supposed to. You know
like
that.
I have forgiven her. I do understand,
Right.
and I even maybe understood that on some level too. But hearing that, sort of thing of like, basically that I got mixed up in the marital troubles a little bit was really nice, and nice to understand that she was recognizing that it takes two to tango, and this wasn't a, because I
Right.
said immediately like, hey, look, mom, it's more than just that, and that's not the only thing, and that, I am very work focused, and there are reasons why it seemed like I'm not as present as I should have been, but like
Right. Right. Right.
it's the it's the journey to discover this shit in the first place.
Sure. Sure.
So
Well,
one thing
Jesse,
we
that's all
want
the
to
time we
chat
have
about,
today.
yeah.
Like I
So
manifested last week that this was going to be partially like the Jesse therapy show.
yeah.
But no,
So I
listen,
thought
it's
maybe you can give like the introduction. Like I wanted to start talking about,
oh yeah,
Cody and sort of what we'll be talking about a little bit with Cody today. But
cool.
my brother, from your perspective and all these things, I'd love to get a proper little introduction to him, especially from the spiritual standpoint.
Sure. Well,
Oh, and thank you, everybody who's when I'm focused on a story like that, it's hard for me to focus on comments. But hello, we have a packed house. I love you all.
yeah, I'm super excited for tonight. Because of the double Snyder, the Snyder-rama, I think I was calling it today. I was thinking about my history, and I actually worked on a music video initially with Dee. Okay, he was doing a video for it was a contest for some tequila, and they were doing a mariachi band version of "We're Not Going to Take It." And I remember, I mean, I had first gotten into film production and video production and stuff like that. I was working with a buddy of mine, Steve, and I was just thinking, I'm holding this big reflector, and Dee Snider's in front of me, and I'm like, man, I have vinyl of this guy, and I'm just like, I'm in awe, and I'm not a celebrity like guy at all, but I'm just like, this is really fucking cool. I'm really excited, and that was my first taste of working with the Snyders. And it was really cool. But oddly enough, I guess through Steve, I ended up working with all of the Snyders except Cheyenne. I haven't met Cheyenne, but I worked with Cody on a music video. I worked with Shane. He was writing some stuff that Steve and I were doing. I worked with you on some of the stuff and some of the stuff we're doing now. And I have always had a tremendous admiration for the Snyder family. You guys are just all super, super talented, and none of you are entitled or like what you would expect. You're all super humble and super loving. And so today I was super excited. I haven't seen or spoken to Cody in a long time, but I was psyched, and I was like, you know what, let me just review some things, because I know Fool's Day was huge with me. I loved Fool's Day, which I'll let him talk about, but that was one of his films. But then there was another one that I wanted to review, and I reviewed it. And
we'll keep the Fool's Day conversation on the top secret. We can just talk about it peripherally, just because I know he can't talk about things right now. But
I had no idea. Sorry, Cody.
No, it's all good. It's just
I'm talking about.
We're not the press. We've got him on here for spiritual stuff, so
that's right.
We're not gonna have him on here talking about the
promoting
things other than us admiring him.
Well, so actually that was what was pretty interesting, because I turned on the other movie that I was talking about, All That Remains, and I got to tell you, Jesse, within 2 minutes I was sobbing. I mean, it is so connected to life and soul and spirit. And this is, I think he made this in 2010. And it's like, it's funny because I was like, man, I remember when I was younger, I had no idea I was on a spiritual journey. But when I realized I was on a spiritual journey, I was like, oh, I was back then too. and I was like, wow, he's just got his finger on the pulse. Anyway,
he did an incredible job.
Incredible. And then even more so than that, how it was connected to the character that you had developed. I mean, that was
that was the really amazing thing, for me, watching him translate it, because I don't think I'd even written a full treatment for the full story. Like the end of the movie is the ending, which is I think what he really was gravitating towards. And then I had like a planned like 3-part thing that I was going to do with my friend, and I just wrote the first issue. And initially it was kind of funny, and when my dad read it, he was like, I think you're really missing the boat here. This is awesome and beautiful, and like it shouldn't be funny, like make it serious. So I was like, all right, cool. So I stripped it down a little bit and I made it more serious. And then Cody came to me one day and he's like, I want to make it into a movie. And I was like, yeah. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. Like, so I just handed him the script, and he wrote his own version, based a little on the script that I had written. Like a lot of the narration is similar. Actually, at the very end of the day, he and I went together and we wrote the final narration together, which was really cool. I loved doing that. I love working with my family. And so he took the bones, and then like the things that I had said I was gonna do, like, oh yeah, he's got like a girlfriend, but like my vision of these things were a bit more over the top, to say the least. Just because it was a comic book. So
right. You're a comic guy.
Yeah. So visually speaking, I was trying to get a little bit more bang for my buck to make people notice. So his vision was a little bit more like a movie. And within that though, just seeing somebody else do the thing you wanted to do, invariably they do it different.
Sure.
And so many of the things he did, like I never would have thought to do.
Right.
And I thought they were so beautiful. And I remember just like breaking out into tears at the end of the movie, because he did something that I never would have thought to do. Like just like where he had the protagonist facing death, who was like his oldest friend and essentially had become his nemesis. And as he's facing death, Cody cuts back and forth with the younger self kissing his girlfriend, kissing the girl that he loved.
Dude, it's so powerful. It's so amazing.
It was so powerful. Just as I think about it, like,
and you know what, even what you're talking about, and I don't want to, he's backstage, I don't want to keep him any longer.
No. I told him that he was coming out at the 30-minute mark.
The whole pacing of the whole entire thing is just like,
he doesn't like compliments, so he like let us
compliment him before he comes on.
But seriously, what he did in that moment instinctually is something that I might do nowadays. But at the time, I wasn't there as an artist, and he did a beautiful thing where he was juxtaposing, the energy,
the power of the whole
confrontation,
thing.
and anger with love, and they are part and parcel. And I didn't really see like that at the time, and that, I mean, Jesus, when you get to that moment, it's some real spiritual thinking, some wisdom that saw the merit in cutting it like that. And I just watched and I went, I never would have done that. I'm so glad that he did it, not me.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, it's so beautiful.
Awesome. Yeah, it's really powerful.
Real tears. It's very powerful.
It's so powerful. So let's bring this motherfucker on.
Wait, did you finish your introduction of him?
You know what? Cody is, again, the Sniders themselves represent so much love, and that's how I think this all came about, and what we were doing with your class and continuing to broadcast. But I know you guys have had your own adventures in the jungle and revelations about life. So I want you guys to talk about that. I was done with my introduction. He's an amazing motherfucker and really talented. And I guess here's what I'm going to say, and I'm going to ask him for a link. If nobody knows who Cody is and hasn't seen any of his films, go fucking see them, because it's like
I'm gonna send you some links
better
while
than
we
the
talk
stuff.
to him,
Yeah,
and you can post
okay,
the
we'll
links
post
under
them. Yeah, yeah.
on the
Better than the
on
stuff that you see in the theaters. It's just top notch. So
I've seen them all
ladies and
so many
gentlemen,
times, and they just keep getting better. And like, because I show them to people all the time, because I love to brag about my brother.
totally. He's biting it. He's like, let me on, motherfuckers. Here he comes. Hold on a second. You ready?
Yeah.
Boom, there he is.
What's up?
Yo, how's it going?
It's like I'm eavesdropping in the other room. I appreciate
Yeah.
It's so nice.
How's it going, man? I love you.
Oh, I love you guys too. Thank you so much. Z, good to see you, brother. What's up? What's up?
So good to see you, man. I was so blown away today when I was like reviewing. I was just like, I know Cody's cool, but let me review. And I was just, man, these guys are fucking cooler than I even cooler than the platform I put them on.
Oh man,
Seriously. No, seriously, you are.
The feeling's so mutual. I'm so proud of you both for like doing this and raising the vibe. Also, your entire set out, like layout, like with the fractal, like the.
Oh, you like that? That's new. Yeah, cool.
Dude, it's brilliant, and it's like it's the first thing I see on ayahuasca. Like once like spirit of ayahuasca enters the space, it looks pretty much exactly like that, and you're staring at it until it consumes you and takes you to another dimension. But that's another story for another time.
Well, let's get into that in 2 seconds. Let's start off by our question, Cody. What is consciousness to you? We chose the live stream of consciousness, and we tend to mean being conscious, but what is consciousness to you?
Right. So that's interesting question, because right, to be conscious is to be awake, right? Or to be conscious of oneself, right? To be conscious that you are a part of the whole, that there is no self. So that is to be conscious that you are a part of the whole. You are one with the whole. You are not separate from the whole. To transcend the illusion of separateness is to be conscious. Now, to say consciousness, that's a little bit more interesting. Can
I pause you for 1 second just to say the basis of this show is the universal laws class, and you literally rattled off like 6 of the universal laws in saying what's to be conscious of the fact that you're one with everything, and you're a mind, and this is the thing. There is the naturalistic forces of the universe, and you need to become conscious of them so that it's easier to forgive. It's easier to understand why things are amiss.
Right.
And what's the other side of consciousness for you? Thank you for nailing it.
I apples and fall far, Jess. I got a very conscious older brother. And conscious friend in Michael Zinn. And then there's a little bit, there's another side of it, because from a Buddhist perception, they can view consciousness as an external force, something that enters us. You're not conscious. Consciousness is this external thing that pervades all things. And just like most, everything, both sides are true. The opposite of every truth is equally as true. So, I do think that's being conscious, is being awake that this is a game, being awake that you are everything, that there is no self. But then consciousness in terms of like the primordial soup, the fact that our reality is conscious within itself. You are the program and the programmer. That is, this kind of, consciousness is really spirit, is what we can call spirit. Yoshibu
comes back to the one thing.
Exactly. Right. We're all the ancient one, and all we're trying to do, and we're all spiritualists and healers, is address the disconnections to the ancient one, to ourself, to each other, to nature. So, right, we use the word love for connection. When we say I love you, it means I feel connected to you. So all the conditions we put on love are the things that disconnect us from the one and keep us unconscious. So that's my.
You know what? I love this, and and what you're saying. If I can piggyback on it, a lot of people have a lot of taboos when you start saying that we're all gods. But if you can look at the whole world, I mean, just look at America, look at our society, and imagine for a second that we were all gods who didn't know we were gods and didn't know how powerful we were, whose power was all affecting each other, and we were all misaligned because there was a part of us that was like, I am God, darn it. And really, that's ultimately
actuality.
Exactly.
Actuality.
That is reality.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of people who on some quiet level are like, but no, I'm right. But no, I'm God. But no, I'm supposed to be able to control this on some fashion. But no, that society has a bug up its ass. It secretly knows it is God. It is just a bunch of aspects of God. But it's through cooperation that we unlock all of our powers and really allow ourselves to progress. I think I spoke a few times on the air, now about how Cody was an integral part in my progression, that it was impossible for me to do what needed to be done to move things forward in rifts that I had with my family for a long time. But Cody was able to do it. And as soon as Cody did what he could do, then I could move forward. And so often life is like that. So when you're sitting there going, I'm not going to get any help and I'm not going to let anybody help me, I'm going to do this by myself. Well, it may be that you need Cody to, put a finger, into the thing. You need him to get involved for a second.
It's Cody Snider.
You need your Cody to get involved in that moment. And what Cody did, for him, it seemed very small, and it might seem very small for whoever it is who's helping you. But these things are integral. We are cogs in one machine, and the teeth hit up against the other teeth, and that's what makes it go. If you're just pulling your arms in and you're spinning around by yourself, you put out your arms.
That metaphor before.
You put out your arms, you be yourself, you be your natural self, and that will attract what it attracts. Some of the things will not be good. It will be teaching you and you will be learning and growing, but the other things will be connections to people that need to be in your life and opportunities that you need to have. And you really need to allow yourself to be yourself and interact with the pact, the pack, and in the knowing that you are the one, just as everyone else is the one. It's not arrogant, because you're knowing you are the one and they are the one. Right. They are equally. Cody is me for all intents and purposes. Somewhere down the line, that's my soul.
Yeah, that always
is my
soul.
Yeah. It's just in a different. It's in a different configuration at this time, and a different line in the chain of where energy is being put in the universe, where it came from, or whatever else. But it doesn't matter. It's literally me, and I am literally him. So it does not matter. This is his future. This is my past. This is your past. This is my future. This is your past. This is my future. This is your future. This is your past. And on the other side, there's no future or past. So even where are you in the chain? Like, none of it matters. We are so interdependent. Once you enter into this thing, it's just like and if one person stops, it all stops.
Right.
And and I
but
think
that's
that's
just
why
the way you're saying
progress.
None of it matters. Just like you're saying none of it matters. The opposite is true as well. It all matters.
Oh, sure.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's the thing. That's the thing. Is like that's sort of like nihilism. That just because we're all one doesn't mean it doesn't matter. The fact that we're all one and that we are on a tangent, right? So look at this background. This is the primordial spiral, right? You can actually see it on this laser show. This primordial spiral.
Make it brighter.
Right. So all things return to the one. That's what you're seeing here. And you can see it in, Fibonacci sequence. You can see it in everything. Right. And it is really the fingerprint of God. I hate to use the G word. There's too much trauma around it. And it really kind of shuts us down, a lot of the conversation down. But we are all this one. So look at the primordial spiral. You can see everything is flowing and returning to the one. So what we're experiencing is a dimension and a reality. It's a tangent on this spiral, where essentially the self forgets it's a part of the whole. We experience the illusion of separateness. So at this state of consciousness we're all incarnated in, we are witnessing and experiencing the illusion, the fallacy of separateness. So yes, we're all one, but it does matter. What matters is that are the conditions that we put on ourselves and each other that separate us from each other. Mm-hmm. So it's, you know what I'm saying? So like,
yeah.
So if that's
what's so hard about being a spiritual dude, because it's like you listen to my terminology here. It's not that you believe all of these things. It's you know these things, right? We know the things that we're talking about, but we're still human, and we've still got to process them through a limited sense of perception.
Right.
You know what I mean? We can talk about all of this stuff, but are we really understanding it? I mean, can we?
Right. Well, like in Taoism, right, the Tao that is spoken is not the Tao. And to break things into words is to decompartmentalize the one. You're already stripping the one into. That's why enlightenment or ascension or whatever is a state of being. It's a vibration. It's not to bring it into words, distort it. And there are fallacies within the language itself. You can see how our language is broken into gender. The fact that you would even define and break into a dualistic construct. The fact that you would do past tense and future tense and present tense. You're distorting it already. So
yes, may I just say, as an atheist, I recognized as a young person that the language was really screwing us up. And I didn't understand how right I was. But our language is, I believe, to some degree, a plot to keep us away from our true selves and our true nature by keeping us in the past and the future, and not so much in the now. Usually there's one word to describe the now, and then there's many degrees of future, and there's many degrees of past tense. So there's like a whole bunch of words to keep you in the different degrees of past, a whole bunch of words to keep you in degrees of the future. These are the things that cause depression and anxiety, living in the future, living in the past. That alone, is a big thing. But then you go into simple things like I and mine. There are many languages that don't include I or mine. They're just our, and it's all about the oneness. If you know the inherent nature of God or the universe, you can construct a language that is supportive to those notions. And there are many languages on this planet that are supportive to the sort of universal laws that are written, but the English language is not. And it really does take a while to get a real hang of talking well, especially with like loved ones and spouses and stuff, to be able to be in the present tense. And, it's hard not to blame people with your language. And, there's all sorts of techniques that you can learn in relationship books. And these have been developed because it is so easy. It's such a quagmire, the language.
Yeah, we talk about language a lot and the caveats of it. Go ahead, Cody.
No, man, I'm just listening. I mean, I can give you,
Cody, I want you to tell us about your spiritual journey, and really, that's what I would really like to. If you could encapsulate your journey to plant medicine. You came from a family just like me that really didn't have a good view of anything like this. We were all straight edge for a period of time. I was for a much longer period of time. But if you could tell our audience, what your journey was to spirituality and to the plant medicine path.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Jesse. And yeah, dude, thank you for having me on. I'm so proud of you and I love you so much. And Zen, I'm so proud of you too, brother. And I know it's been a minute since we got to connect, but I'm proud you're trying. I see what you're doing, trying to raise the frequency, put yourself out there, make yourself, it's very vulnerable.
Thank you, man.
The first thing I'll say before I speak, and this should show you how fucking serious I am here, is this going to stay on the internet or is this going to go away as a live stream so I can know how much to say and how much not to say, because I can incriminate myself and be as a lunatic if I tell the utmost truth and nothing.
This will stay on the internet.
Yeah, at this point we're leaving them on live, so.
Well, I've already said too much. We're all fucked.
We're all fucked. Listen,
right, if that find out eventually, I'm a freak. So bring him on. Let him come.
Yeah, you're not a freak.
The
Dude.
good news is, Cody, I've got a clean rep right now. All of my social media is private. All of the people who follow me are following me on my private accounts, and I'm, this is Twitch and the little live stream thing. None of the superficial assholes pay attention to this shit.
Okay. No, it's all right, man. It's
all coming anyway, man. The shift is happening,
dude.
They're just catching up.
I just came.
It's about to get good, everyone.
Dude, I just the past 3 hours, I just came out of a meeting with Vice. They want to do an episode on me, my fiance Tanya, who channels extraterrestrials, and
wow,
and we're like realizing in the meeting that the other episode of the season are people that believe they're vampires. The other episode, someone who believes they're a time traveler here to preserve punk rock. The other person
they're spinning it. Oh,
I'm like, and now I'm literally just holding my girlfriend because we want this information out. We want to shift the consciousness. We want to put this like martyr path, and we're like, oh my god, like what do we do? Like,
are you being guided to do it?
I mean, all we do in ceremony is get told to bring this information to the light and get shown.
So even if it's gonna be in that whatever.
It's like,
and you know what, man? It's all gonna come down to you guys. So I mean, like, and at the end of the day, I go straight to the horse's mouth. I watch the people who are having the experiences, who are doing the things, and if I believe them or believe that they believe the thing, that's all that that's all that you can do, really. So I mean, you're just being honest.
Yeah, Cody, let me tell you a story, just real quick if I can. I was introduced to some channelers years ago. A friend of mine was like, "Oh, you got to check this out." Showed me some YouTube stuff, and I was like, "These people are wackos." and then my friend, a friend of mine, was running the workshops every week, and he's like, "I'm having this woman on. She's a channeler. She channels Amana. Amana is a collective consciousness."
Right.
And I said, "Okay, send me the video." I watched the video, and I literally had an emotional response. I mean, I started crying. I don't know why, but I knew what that meant. You know what I mean? So for me, when you cry and you respond to something and you're crying, you're basically touching your soul at that moment, because your thoughts are physically manifesting.
Right.
By tears and welling up in the throat, and so that's like a very, very sacred moment. Right. So I went and I saw her in person. Same thing. I had a reaction. I went and I met her. I said, "I want to have a private session with you," and we became great friends. And it changed my whole perspective on the whole thing. Right. So and there's no doubt, like you said, I'm putting myself out there. Things are changing, man. People are. There's a lot more of us than you think,
Right. And that's the thing is we want to, and that's why I'm like so proud and grateful for what you're doing, is using your tools and resources to send out a homing beacon to try to call us together so we can, keep from the doubt and the shame and the fear, and we can kind of clear it up and come together and, help ease this transition of consciousness instead of just kind of addressing the symptoms. But
there's some selfishness too, Cody, in that, becoming conscious is hard, and there's so many little details and aspects to it. And to do this show, me and Michael, we would get together every week and talk about, spiritual stuff, and like, trying to, it would be a little reminder to each of us, practice what we preach. And that's really the thing, to keep the conversation going. We're living in this age of no nuance to any conversation, really bullying sort of energy all over the place. And, people need to learn how to be able to go conduct themselves in this atmosphere and make some progress anyway.
Right. Truth.
So can you tell us, Cody Blue Snider, give us the Cody's path to spirituality, and, the summation, but, the important stuff, what was it that, that opened you up beyond, the normal person's typical path?
So obviously, it's a long story. So I'm like, I'll give you the short version, but it's also the most interesting thing to ever happen to me. And it goes over years. But yeah, like Jesse, I was raised in an agnostic scientific materialist. If anything, had a lot of animosity towards the religious institutions because of all the hardship, the genocide, the crusades, the book burning. I mean, everything. I mean, the manipulation, the power tactics, the fact that you're essentially, a tax haven for pedophiles for many institutions, and that is a very broad judgment to make on Christianity. And I don't mean to do that. But at the time, I had a lot of trauma around it. But I think I was more afraid of being fooled. My mantra was "Belief is the death of intelligence." I would repeat it often and read a lot of I read lots of quantum physics, but it started with quantum physics, got into meditation. You know, I'm gonna just jump to the good shit. Okay. I'm not gonna give you the little things. I'm gonna talk about the fucking window dressing. I'm not gonna talk about the fucking reading, or I'm gonna talk about having what ripped my reality open before my eyes and ripped me into a higher dimension of consciousness, where I now visit on occasion every month. So, I mean,
I've got a room there on reserve.
yeah. Okay. Essentially, I am a part of the medication generation. I'm 31 years old. I was stuck on ADHD medication as a kid. So I was drugged by my doctors. I was on these meds for about 10 to 12 years. The side effects were so bad, they would rotate me from one drug to the next growing up. One would make me a narcoleptic, another an insomniac, one anxious, another depressed, so on and so forth, right? Eventually settled on Adderall, and it gave me a lot of success. But in my early 20s, I was experiencing depression, anxiety, panic attacks. I could not focus, and I would go to the doctors, and they would increase my dosage or add another medication. So I decided like this wasn't for me, and there had to be something else, and it wasn't sustainable. So I like weathered the really intense withdrawal with Adderall, and I started seeking true medicine. And this is as very much an agnostic. I was meditating, I was trying everything, but I started working with all different sorts of doctors, dietitians, naturopaths, neuroscientists, homeopaths. I did everything under the sun you could think of to try to address my ADHD and depression and anxiety. And ultimately, I found myself working with plant medicines. I was getting biofeedback from a neuroscientist in Los Angeles, neurofeedback. And there was a professor there who was studying psychedelic plant medicines. And I started asking her about it, and they were saying, she was at USC, this professor, and she was saying, oh, they were having tremendous breakthroughs with it. So I traveled to Taos, New Mexico to work with a indigenous shaman in my first medicine ceremony. Now, I was going on this healing journey for about a year and a half, and my ex at the time was a nurse. And she was also incredibly disenfranchised by the medical institutions. She essentially started working at hospitals, and she would say that the pharmaceutical companies would come in once a week and essentially tell the doctors what to do, what to prescribe. Mm-hmm. And like that they were like, it wasn't the medical textbooks, it was these pharma reps that they were in
for years and years it's been this way.
Right. So we were disenfranchised. So we were doing things together: meditation, homeopathy, acupuncture. I went and learned Reiki. I was very desperate.
Oh, wow.
And I learned Reiki, but I kind of thought like, give me my money back. Like I was kind of like, I don't know. I don't feel anything. So I cut to 3 months later. I fly to Taos, New Mexico with two homies from Long Island, New York, where we're from. And we climb the Rio Grande Mountain. We go to the Rio Grande River. We bathe in the river, right? We climb the mountain and sit with the shaman. And the shaman says, a vulture was circling your head as you climb the mountain, which means today's the day you die. And I'm like, party. And he's like, and I looked at your Mayan charts, and today's your day of transformation. And wow. But not laughing. He was very serious. And
yeah.
Acted like he was telling me bad news, and I'm like, okay. And he's like, so I'm only giving you one mushroom, and he gives me this like tiny little mushroom, and I'm like, bro, I traveled all the way here. I'm like, the veg is $600. Like, give me more. And he's like, no, this is all you're gonna get.
You don't understand. You're gonna die.
Right. That's exactly what he said.
This little mushroom is going to kill you.
He literally said, no, he's going to say, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so I'm So it's daylight. I'm on the top of this mountain. I'm brought 2 friends, and he's with the shaman's assistant over on the cliff. My 2 friends and them. I'm sitting in front of this fire. It's daytime, a couple hours to sunset, and I'm with the shaman, and I'm with his daughter and his daughter's wife. And I'm kind of like panicking. I'm a little scared. And the shaman stands up, walks away. 5 minutes, comes back, sits down, stands up, walks away, comes back, sits down, turns to me and goes, "Hey, I know I just told you you're going to die. And I know you came a long way, but I can't do the ceremony. I'm sick." And I'm like, "What? What do you mean you're sick?" And he's like, "I have like diarrhea. I'm vomiting." He's like, "I'm sick. I need to go lay down. My daughter will run the ceremony." And I'm like, "Oh, blah, 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 blah." I'm like, "You just told me I was going to die." I'm like, maybe it's the mushroom. It's a fungus.
I know. I just told you you're going to die.
But I gotta go.
So he's like, "It's a fungus." I'm like, "Maybe it's a fungus. It's upsetting your stomach." He's like, No, I'm 79. I have diabetes. I'm very ill. I actually stopped holding ceremonies. I just felt called to hold the ceremony, and I thought I had the strength to do it, and I can't. And I'm like panicking. I'm like, I just learned Reiki. Let me give you some Reiki, bro. Let me give you some Reiki. I'm not even used it. I'm like, but I can. Let me try.
You literally said that to him?
Yeah, I said, "Do you want Reiki? I just learned Reiki. Maybe it will help." Right? I'm panicking. I'm grasping at straws here. And he goes, "Oh, I'd love some Reiki." So I'm like, okay. So I stand up. I walk behind this dude. I stick my hands over his head. And his body goes limp. And he starts going, "Oh," like moaning. And I go, "Are you okay?" He goes, "Yes, it feels good. Keep going." I'm like, "Oh, all right." So I'm just leaving my hands there. And next thing I know, I feel like a heartbeat in the palm of both my hands. Whoa, 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 whoa. Right? No sound. But it's that waves.
Right.
And it feels like if I took 2 magnets and flipped them and put them back to back, and there's like a pressure. There's a pressure pushing back against my hands. And the energy starts increasing. And I'm like, "Holy shit, this is fucking real. This is real." And I'm like,
Working. The money was
Oh
worth
my
it.
God, this is real.
right. And I'm fucking like blowing my mind is blown. And I'm like getting a little cocky. I'm like, all right, your stomach hurts? And I strut over to the side, and I get on one knee, and I place my hands over his like stomach, kind of like 3 inches above, and I start doing it. I'm just feeling it. Right. I'm feeling it, and he's I'm there. So then there's a little turn of events. I start feeling this kind of pain, this like energy going up my arms and into my heart, both hands, and it feels like a fucking knife in my heart. And I'm like, oh, this doesn't feel good anymore. I like this. And I feel this pain in my heart, and I start spinning, and I'm like, oh shit. And I like fall back onto my butt, and I feel like there is a knife in my heart.
Wow.
And I start panicking, and I'm going, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm fucking with witchcraft. The Christians are right. I'm oh my God. And I don't know what to do. And I start crying, and I'm still dealing with a lot of toxic masculinity. So I'm hiding my tears from them, from his daughter, his wife, and the shaman. And I'm crying, and I'm thinking, oh my God, what if I never get rid of this pain? What if I'm like this forever? And I hear this voice, this very strong telepathic voice in my head that's not mine, say, you may never get rid of this pain, but the entire point of life is to willingly take on the pain of others and transmute it into love and send it back to them. Not to shield yourself from their pain, not to take their pain on and hold on to it, but to willingly receive and give love back to them anyways. Right. And then I'm like, whoa my God. And I'm like, oh my God, what the fuck was that? Right. Next thing I know, I see at the corner of my eye, the shaman stand up, and I hear him say, oh my God, he healed me. He's a Reiki master. And I look up at him, his daughters, I go crying. I go, what the fuck is happening to me? And his daughter comes up and she puts her hand on my shoulder and she goes, oh, honey, you don't know? So you're an empath. And I go, what's an empath? And he explains, he goes, you take on the pain of other people. You're a healer. And I go, how do I get rid of it? And the shaman goes, you send it back to mother. Send it back to mother. I'm like, what does that fucking mean? And he goes, and he starts teaching me a visualization of how to put it back into the earth. Mm-hmm. So next thing I know, I see
the visualization so I can make sure I'm doing it right.
Yeah.
It was just a grounding technique. So it was just visualizing it.
That's what I do.
There's Stevie Sage.
It is Sage. What's up, bro?
What up, Sage? You're making me cry. I love this story.
This is amazing.
This is a very personal, vulnerable story that I hide from a lot of people, and I'm sharing for the first time.
Dude, thank you so much. You don't even know how much this means.
I hope.
It really does, man. So special.
So it only gets weirder from here.
Awesome.
We may go slightly over time tonight.
You just let me know.
No,
you're good. Keep on going.
Okay,
we got more viewers than ever.
Okay, so he starts going, send it back to mother, right? Okay, so I'm trying to do it. So I see he stands up, looks to his daughter, takes a deep breath. He goes, this is why we're here. He goes, get the drum, get the pipe, get this, get that, get the feather, get the blah, blah, blah. Next thing I know, this guy's fucking banging this drum and they're blowing smoke in my face. And I fucking have a full-blown awakening experience. My hands magnetically pin together, pinned to my chest. Like someone was above my head, grabbing my hair, tugs my head up like this, like that. And I start like lightning through my fucking body, and I'm fucking shaking, right? I'm shaking. And it is giving me, this is the path of the Bodhisattva. This is just a path you're on. This is the path you've walked before, blah, 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 blah. And I'm fucking experiencing for cosmic consciousness, interdimensional consciousness, right? I'm communing with some force in a higher plane, whether it's my guides, my higher self, the spirit of the mushroom. I assume it's the spirit of the mushroom at this point after all this work. But
it's all one thing, Cody.
Right,
everything is a conduit to all the things.
Right. Let's not
need a word.
Semantics. I have a super.
Cody, at the end of the day, you're talking to your fucking self. Because yourself is God.
Dude, me and my fiance talk about that all the time. When we do grace, we're like, here we go again, pray into our future selves. And
me as Mother Ayahuasca, me as the universe, me as whatever it is. Yes.
It's interesting. And we can get into that. I'd love to parse that out. But
well, it's important to have that perspective because that's the equalizing perspective. You know, it's like, you know, when people talk about racism or arrogance or anything, it's sort of like, what? The equalizing perspective goes, that's stupid. That's folly. What that doesn't make any sense.
Right. True. Okay. So all right. I have this full-blown awakening experience, right? And my first real one, and I'm getting shown this path. I get shown this ancient path of people who leave the ordinary society. It's shown to me as the rebel's path, the awakened path. They reject the social constructs. They go in nature. They work with these plants, and they align with spirit, and they get with unity consciousness, cosmic consciousness, and they go and they have to bring it and teach it to the rest of their people, knowing they will be killed for it. And in the death, they become an idea, and it helps with the evolution of the collective through their death of their cause. And I'm getting shown this whole marvelous path, these past lives as a medicine person. Everything starts to make sense. Smoking cannabis, they're showing me what these plants have been doing, attuning my field to this higher frequency and healing me. And a good thing to know, a thing you should know is I walked into the ceremony with a back brace on from a stress fracture on my spine, right? So it started when I was 13, got re-aggravated when I was 23. I was mugged in Harlem. For the record, I've never worn this back brace ever again since this experience. So just gonna throw that out there, right? So I literally this experience itself healed my fracture on my spine, but within itself, I'm getting shown this path, and they're talking about this Bodhisattva path. And I later looked it up, and it was someone who rejects enlightenment to help others achieve enlightenment. And it was something along this path. I was being shown a path of coming down into this realm to help people awaken, to help people get beyond this like earth school. So it was really interesting. And it's also a real fucking trip because it seems kind of like egoic. So on one hand, they're like, you're everything. And the other hand, they're like, you got this crazy mission to do. And I'm like, which one is it? Am I everything or do I have a specific job? I'm like, I don't know. So anyway, you slice it. I fucking pop out of this thing covered in the ash of the fucking fire. My two homies who came with me from New York, one's a fucking scientist, are standing on the edge of the circle, like wide-eyed, like watching me as I'm half naked, covered in ash, crying as they bang a drum, and I'm like be electrocuted by a ghost or something. So I hop out of it like a fucking like a jester, and I'm just like feeling like $1,000,000, and I'm like, I'm back, baby, and I feel great, and everything makes sense. So I look at my friends who are shocked, and I shout out to Mike Dom. This is Mike Dom's story.
Oh yeah, Mike Dom. I love Mike.
So Mike Dom was there, and Mike Dom was one of those homies standing there wide-eyed. And I go, Dom, if I can do that to him, I'm doing it to you. Sit your ass down. He comes, he sits down, put my hands over his head, and he's, actually, yeah, sure.
Go back a step.
I'm keeping the train. I'm moving. We'll be here all night. I sit down. I put my hands over him, and he starts fucking. His hands are shaking. His feet are shaking. I do it as long as I can. He's pretty much just getting electricity pumped through his body. I do it as long as I can. I kind of fall off of him. He falls onto the ground. He's shaking. They wrap him in a blanket, put him by the fire, right? And Dom, that awakened Dom as a Reiki master. He's now a powerful, amazing healer. He's always been a very awakened man, but that attuned him to as a healer. So all of a sudden,
just attuned.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So I go. The shaman then goes, I go, give me the rest of the mushrooms. So he goes,
I'm the Reiki master.
Right.
They never give me enough medicine either, Cody.
I was like, I died. I did the die thing. Give me the mushrooms now. And he goes, you okay? He gives me the whole bag. And he sits me in front of the fire. He sits me in front of the fire and he says, stare into that fire, and takes his mushrooms. And they all, now the sun's down and everyone's now like sitting around me. And as I'm staring into this fire, right? Okay. The fire turns into these alien faces looking back at me. And I say, I don't want to talk about the aliens. The aliens scare me. I don't want to talk about the aliens. They go, they're not aliens. I'm going to pause right here. I'm going to explain something to you. I am contracted to write.
Wait.
Repeat what you just said. You're going to explain something to
Go
us.
back. Yeah, you froze for a second.
Hey, I'm back, baby. Okay, so
you're going to explain something to us.
At this point in time, I am contracted to write a movie about the most acclaimed academic to ever look into the abduction phenomenon. Right? His name is John E. Mack. He's a Pulitzer Prize winner, Nobel Peace Prize nominee. He specialized in schizophrenics. He looked into it because he thought the abductees were schizophrenic. And he found out that none of them were schizophrenic because they all doubt their experience, and schizophrenics don't doubt their experience. He ran all psychological tests on them, and he found out that they were completely sane. They only charted as a sexual assault victim. They felt violated against their will. This dude comes out with this information, and he's the only Harvard professor ever impeached, tenured professor ever impeached. And he was put on an academic witch burning trial that destroyed his career. He ultimately was acquitted of all the charges against him, but by the time that came out, his wife had left him. He had been disgraced. He'd been defamed, and he ultimately was hit by a car crossing the street, but he was huge in the disclosure movement. So when I got hired to write this, I replaced Barry Morrow, the writer of Rain Man. The producer comes up to me and gives me a stack of files and a hard drive. So I start going through these files and listening to these hypnosis tapes of these abductees, and they are horrific. They are people under hypnosis, his patients reliving their abductions, and they are screaming, oh my God, please God, no, please God, no, please, no.
This is crazy.
Crazy. I'm listening to these. They are scaring me so much. That's how I'm spending my workday, listening to these and typing ideas. Well, this scene, this person screams, please God, no, for 15 minutes. So now it comes time in this process where the producer says, now I want you to meet the abductees, right? 20 years later, after these recordings. So I start going to brunch with these abductees.
Oh my God.
Every single one of them is a shaman or a mystic or a healer now, 20 years later. Wow. Everyone. And all their experiences stop being what they were, and now they perceive them as light beings, right? So I am all twisted up. I'm sleeping with the lights on because I'm so scared from these hypnosis tapes. Cut to, I'm in the fire. I'm staring at the fire. I just took these fucking mushrooms, this medicine, and I'm staring. He tells me to fire gaze. He says, look into the fire, deep into the fire until spirit shows you images. It will communicate through the fire with you. This is fire gazing. And at the time, I'm like, I've done this a million times in a million past lives. Like, let's fucking go. Like, I've just awakened myself. I remember what I'm here to do, who I am, and yada, 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 right? So the fire,
movie.
right. The fire starts showing me alien faces. I'm like, nope, I don't want to do this. I don't want to talk about the aliens. Like, we need to talk about the aliens. I'm getting this telepathy. We need to talk about the aliens. They're not aliens. I'm like, I don't want to talk about the aliens, man. I don't want to do this. I don't want to talk about the aliens. They're not aliens. Stop calling them fucking aliens. I get into essentially a telepathic shouting match with the fire, where eventually it just starts to reprimand me for being essentially undisciplined, not being able to control my mind, and pretty much told not to come back to the medicine or do this until I've learned to quiet my mind. And that they're not aliens, and I need to stop calling them aliens, and that this is what's holding me back, and this is what I need to deal with. Long short of it, the shaman's like, okay, he's done with the fire. Because I'm sitting there going like, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, sorry. Right, because I'm being reprimanded by the fire now. Takes me, puts me to sleep. End ceremony. Okay. After that, my back is healed for the first time in years. And I go, I'm going to fuck with the master healers. I'm going to go fucking do some ayahuasca in the jungle. So me and our other brother Shane and a friend Greg traveled to Peru to go work with ayahuasca. We work with the Shipibo tribe. We do 10 days, 3 nights ayahuasca, 1 night of Bobansana, which is like a heart medicine, Wachuma, which is San Pedro cactus. It's a masculine master healer plant. It works well in conjunction with ayahuasca. And then I do another ceremony, Vilca ceremony. It's called the ceremony of life, death, and rebirth. It's essentially you're snorting DMT out of a 3,500-year-old human finger bone. It's a real hoot.
I'm hanging out with the wrong people.
yeah, man, come get weird with me, bro.
Collect the whole set.
Yeah, right. You hang with Jesse, so you're doing something right. We go to the tribe. It's 30 people, mostly therapists and psychiatrists from around the world there to study this medicine. So we do this circle, and I am the one person, and I'm going to try to be a little speedy with the story now. I'm the one person who did not have I'm the guy that had a fucking bad night, bad night. There's in those ceremonies. So in Shipibo ceremonies, there's something called, it's a practice called noble silence. You don't speak. And the shamans play Icaros. Icaros are songs that typically a plant, like they shake a plant, a rattle, and they whistle. And they're called Icaros, and they're songs that they say the spirit of the plants teach them. And what they do is they call in energy, and they say that it calls in the doctorcitos, the spirit doctors, to come operate on you, to work on you. So you're supposed to be silent the whole time. You could say 2 things. You can say baño, which means a facilitator will come walk you to the bathroom, or you can say baño Don Howard, which is an emergency word, which the American-speaking shaman, who's really just a translator, comes and will help you, right? I'm there for 10 days. Nobody says baño Don Howard once, except me, 5 minutes after drinking the first cup. Apparently, no people were not even being served yet. And I'm like, baño Don Howard? And he like comes up to me. I'm like, a little less, please. He's like, what? I'm like, a little less, please. He's like, what? I'm like, a little, never mind. And that was it. And then I just kicked and screamed to myself the rest of the night. So essentially what happened with ayahuasca, you diet for a long time. No sex, no drinks, no alcohol, no salt, no meat, nothing. I immediately start feel beings around me, poking me, touching me, talking about me, like clear as day. And I'm sober. I'm lucid. I'm not drunk. I'm not high. I'm lucid. And I'm now having beings like poke and prod me. I start to think it's aliens, and I kick and scream and I panic. Luckily for me, because I sat in every ceremony for those 10 days, even though I had a horrible experience, you can ask ayahuasca. It's more of a dance. It's not happening to you. So I could say, please stop, and she'll stop. I could say, let's go deeper, and she'll go deeper, right? And so on and so forth. So ultimately, I had a traumatic first night because I was like, I felt like I was being abducted. It very much feels like an abduction. Mm-hmm. You're essentially going back into the mainframe, and that, because right, here's the thing. People like to talk like you go to heaven or something, like heaven, right? Quoting that. we're in heaven being projected into this reality to have sort of a subset reality. So you're in there right now. That's where you go when you dream. Like when you dream, you're popping out of the machine, high-fiving your ancestors, whoop, like, Men in Black, like, make you forget everything. Back in, bitch. You go back down for another day.
I was, not to interrupt you, but I was actually thinking about that today about how the 3D world that we live in is actually a shadow of a higher dimension. Right. And a projection of a higher dimension. I was totally thinking that. So it's crazy.
100%. And we know that already, though, because we know now it's not, the Newtonian physics way of perceiving the world. It's not atoms. We know there's little pockets of energy in the atoms. We understand that everything is energy. It's no longer the world. Life in the world is not a car where you can, it's a fucking great idea. It's all energy. We're all connected. Right. So the point where I'm going with this story is I had a bad experience. I didn't even want to go back to ceremony. The next day, I walk into the cafeteria, and the shaman is sitting holding court with about 10 people at the table, and he's answering questions. So I meekly, I'm really fucking freaked out from my night. I go, excuse me, Don Howard? I go, aliens aren't real, right? And he looks at me, and the whole table, like velociraptors in slow motion, just like turn their heads and look at me at the same time and give me like this look like, oh, honey, like first time. I'm like, and he goes, actually, the star people, what you might call the Greys, are one of the main Doctorcitos. We call them the space to operate on you. That's when we sing the songs, we're calling them in to work on you. And I'm like, what the fuck? Long and short of it, we go back home for Christmas dinner. It was a winter solstice, right? We were there for the winter solstice ceremony. We go back, we're at Christmas dinner. Jesse, I don't know if you were there, if you remember this. At the time, you were splitting dinners, on Christmas Day. But our mom, our straight edge mother, who doesn't drink, doesn't do drugs, never done drugs, never smoked weed, never drank, nothing. She's like cutting her turkey at the time, because now we don't eat meat, but she goes, so how was ayahuasca? and me and my brother Shane like look at each other, and we tell her this story, and she goes, I want to do ayahuasca. And we go, Mom, what? No, did you just hear a word that just came out of our mouth? You do not want to do ayahuasca. Like, start with smoke some weed, start with another drug first. She goes, you said it's not a drug. You said it's a medicine. I want to do the medicine with my babies. So we go, Mom. Like, this is like literally the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. Like, it is not fun. Like, you do not do this. And she goes, I pushed all four of you out of my vagina. It can't be worse than that. So lo and behold, like cut to like a couple weeks later, she hops a plane to the jungle for like 15, 20 days, like almost twice as long as we were there. Goes to the jungle, does more medicine than all of us, comes back, sits me down, Cody. So I met Mother Ayahuasca. She's very nice. I love it. I asked her to project out of my body, took me into a wormhole. She said there's not much she could teach me at this point in my life, but she asked me if I wanted to meet my medical team. And I said yes. So she took me onto a spaceship, and I met 8 alien friends. And they're alien friends, Cody. There's nothing you have to be scared of. They're very nice. You should meet them and say hello. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, Mom.
Dude, how come this is not a screenplay? This should be a film.
It is. It's called Genesis. It's a cartoon. I have it set up as Cartoona. It's very close. We'll see. Just wait. Things are gonna get very weird in the next few years.
Oh God.
So like,
I love your impression of Mom. I mean, it's barely there, but I guess it's there.
Close enough, right? It's like Linda from Bob's Burgers with like a little more. I don't know.
Some ayahuasca.
So the long and short of it is, cut to a year and a half later, my mom drags me to another ayahuasca ceremony in Costa Rica with a female shaman. And, I get to face this and face these truths and interface with these beings, and understand that a lot of what I was perceiving wasn't aliens. It was the spirit of the plant. There are, of course, I interface with aliens in ceremony, shamanically. But they're peaceful, they're loving. I mean, that's why they haven't blown our asses up. They've been obviously appearing forever. They're obviously just trying to raise our consciousness and get us to, essentially like take notice of them, because we could solve all our problems if we could become harmonious enough to reach out back out with them peacefully. And a lot of what I study and practice in plant medicine shamanism is altering your consciousness to have direct communication with higher dimensional beings and higher dimensional forces in the name of healing. But I've been practicing plant medicine shamanism for 5 years formally. I hold space from time to time. Jesse was referencing we held a little space for a little family healing in early January. And yeah, I mean, I used to practice Reiki. I've never taken $1 for any of this because of religious traumas I have. I had to give up Reiki because in that ayahuasca ceremony with my mother in Costa Rica, I was told that helping someone who's unconscious is like helping someone who's drowning, and that they will pull me down to get up. And that by doing Reiki to people, I was pandering to the illusion that an external force would help them and save them.
Wow.
Instead of inspiring them to heal themselves, because that's the only way. Otherwise, I was cleaning the blood on an open wound instead of inspiring them to patch it. So yeah, so I mean, like I hold ceremonies from time to time, but I really focus on energetic media shamanism, which is essentially I focus on shifting the consciousness through my art. I specifically do that by juxtaposing two contradictory polarities in a harmonious way that transcends the paradox of existence and transcends duality. So if you see Fool's Day as an example, my short, our short, Jesse worked on it. It is so it's Sage who's in here. What's up, brother? Fool's Day is a dark movie about kids that killed their teacher accidentally. So it's very bloody. And then but everything about it is upbeat. So it's a dark story, but then I put it in a light
comedy. Yeah.
Right. So I'm trying to, right. So essentially
you've got the guy confronting death while he's kissing his girlfriend. I was just talking about this.
Cody, what's the restrictions? Can I show photos of the original?
A Fool's Day?
Yeah.
You could show.
Yeah, keep talking. Yeah.
I sent you a link to All That Remains and Fool's Day in the private account. Yeah. I've been at New Line Cinema with the movie for a while. It had Margot Robbie attached to it, Michael Shannon, but now it's in new hands. Ooh, look at this. Yeah, so I mean, this is an interesting thing if you want to take a look at this image. So what I'm talking about here from an artistic standpoint is the opposite of every truth is equally as true. Everything we're trying to do is transcend the illusion of duality, the illusion of separation, right? So we exist in a world where the truth is that we're all connected, but the illusion is that we're separate, right? So
you're trying to connect the furthest pieces.
Right, exactly. So I call it the Christian distortion field. Essentially, it's good and evil, self and other, male, female. It's not that doesn't exist in the physical realm. It does, but we're talking about higher truth that transcends our limited cognition, right? So 99.9% of the electromagnetic spectrum we cannot perceive. 99.9% of the acoustic spectrum we cannot perceive. So we are perceiving 0.001% of what's going on here. And a lot of what working with these plant medicines and other means of altering our consciousness is altering your consciousness so you are perceiving more of the electromagnetic spectrum. So you can then, once you begin to teach yourself how to do that, you can see the energy that's connecting everyone. You can see the sacred geometry that, beyond the physical structures that we're seeing. So I digress, but so really within the juxtaposition of two opposite polarities, you can start to get to real art and truth. When you see something that's saccharine or like a studio film that's just like not funny or like too broad, it's too one note, it's too one dimensional, and it reads as fraudulent. So like what I look to do is essentially like operate right in, like if you look at like the yin yang, like the yin and yang, like those dots on each side, like I always say, like you turn it sideways, hit both dot, the light and the dark and the light, and then you're just staring into the eyes of the universe at that point. Like so like you're looking at Fool's Day right here. Fool's Day, this is a very dark image of a kid with blood on him. But so what I'm doing here from a creative standpoint, and let's go back to that image because This frame is disgusting. Sorry, I had to reframe it in post, so it's gross. But okay, so what I'm doing here is instead of desaturating the image and making it dark, it's saturating the image and making it bright, right? Instead of dark, grays, black, because it's a dark story, there's lots of pops of color. Instead of asymmetrical, the framing is symmetrical to create the juxtaposition of a balanced world, but cognitively, from a conscious level, we perceive death and murder and horror as an imbalance, as something that is abnormal to the divine game, so to speak. So instead of handheld, pandering to the darkness of the concept, we are static. And also, this is a rare close-up in the film, but typically we tend to be in wide shots. Pain and distance is comedy, pain in a close-up is drama. So what I'm trying to say is here, like, this is a way that I try to essentially get people to laugh at death. This is based around the Tibetan skull meditation, where people sit and stare at human skulls as part of their meditation to face death. And this is a totally quote, but the secret of life is to die before you die and discover death isn't real. So this is a way of getting people to comfortably face death in a controlled environment so they can heal those traumas and not resist it.
So what Cody is talking about right now is just something that we've talked about before in terms of the power of meditating on things that frighten us,
right?
And that it can be a really good way to find yourself into a deeper meditation, and also to relieve yourself of lots of anxiety, to just put yourself through anything from burning alive or bugs are going to get you or whatever, under this controlled circumstances where you're just imagining, just as he said, this is a meditation, that can help clear away some of those, the fogs of these things. So, as always, the live stream of consciousness encourages you to go out there and actively, consciously try and fix yourself, give yourself some new tools to do better. Right. So Cody, let's wrap up this story so we can wrap up the show, because we're almost at an hour and a half.
That's about it.
That's about it. Well, then we've nailed it.
I this is what I practice outside of my film work. But yeah, I encapsulated the story that set me off onto it. But I mean, what I'm really interested in at this point is, we want to transcend the religious structures, and we want to remove the idea of any hierarchy and any guru, any idol worship, any of that. The key to everything you want and the key to the other side exists within yourself, which is such a beautiful thing, because it's like, how poetic. Like, where do you hide the key to the doorways of perception, to the higher realms of consciousness? Within yourself. So, and the main thing is, everybody wants to change the world. No one wants to change themselves. And there is, once we all stop looking externally to try to change the world, and we just look internally to try to change ourselves, the internal world the outside world is a reflection of the internal world. So once we all start doing that, we all just focus on healing ourselves and stripping away any illusions or conditions we put on connection with each other, the earth, the animals. Start living in alignment with the better, whatever is the best for the whole. So it's not self-serving consciousness, but whatever's the whole. So I always, like, if I'm praying, I say, like, align me with the good of the whole. Like, I want to be doing whatever's best for the whole.
And let me add this, because our audience, I know you, and you guys are those people. And you also, the thing that you have to do for the whole is love yourself and take care of yourself. It's one thing that you have to become conscious and and be a part of the positive change, but also don't just beat up yourself. Don't just beat up yourself. Love yourself, because it's in loving and accepting yourself that you allow yourself to love and accept other people. So really, it's the best thing you can do for you, and the best thing you can do for everybody else is to make sure that in becoming conscious, you are also conscious enough to take care of yourself, because that's what you have to have a well to pull from for all the other people that you're going to be loving and open-minded and forgiving towards. So Cody Blue Snider, thank you so much for coming on the show. I love you so much, my brother. Thank you for sharing these wonderful stories. The audience was enthralled. Thank you, Michael Zinn, our fabulous producer. Thank you guys so much. I will say I am back from my traveling, and I know that there was a bunch of people who wanted to get angel card readings from me. I am free tomorrow, which is Fridays is when I usually do them. If you reach out to me again, I have a nice new notebook meant for all my angel card readings, and now I will be more organized with getting these things done in a timely manner. I appreciate all of you people who put your lives in my hand in that fashion, and I so appreciate it. Yes, Michael, you're gonna do you
I just wanted to say again, thank you, Cody.
Thanks,
amazing. Definitely, this is the kind of show that I want to do, where it's that engaging, and besides me and Jesse, who are quite engaging, we also have other guests who are quite engaging. No, but I did want to have you back. And I do want to just kind of leave you with this one question, because I have had a lot of thoughts about this lately, and you were addressing it with your story about aliens. I'm using the word aliens, even though we're really not supposed to. My thought was that they exist in the dimension of thought.
Right. So you feel that they exist in the dimension of thought?
I feel like it's a possibility that the reason we don't have to get into the discussion because we're ending it, but this is what I want to talk about next time, is that I feel like that's why there's no physical evidence, is because they don't exist in the same realm.
Right. Well, okay. So here's the thing. It's not it's more than that for sure. It's not, I can tell you from personal experience. I'm not reading religious books. I don't listen to guru. I only do personal experience. Obviously I take science very seriously. I've had with my partners, my medicine partners, materialization of physical form in front of us. I was too freaked out to handle it. They did it. No, it's beyond thought. It's not an extraplanetary phenomenon. It's an interdimensional phenomenon. We're still operating on the level of frequency. Also, I mean, dude, this is like, you want to get this.
Yeah. Let's have another episode with this.
This is all I want to say is this.
Table it.
All I want to say is this. Every timeline exists. So the highest evolutionary potential of every being on this planet, including yourself, is already reached this potential in an alternate timeline. And what you're experiencing is future versions of ourselves and other beings going back into the alternate timelines to reconfigure the structure, to heal the wounds in the whole.
Amen.
That's what it is, bro.
Thank you to the Rock Against MS Network. Thank you to everybody who has been participating in the conversation on Twitch, on YouTube. Thank you guys for donating to Rock Against MS. It's a good cause, and it keeps our show going. Join us next Tuesday for Coolest Alive with Tori Ireland Mella and Aaron Sparrow and I for some geek culture talk. And join us next Thursday again for some more spiritual conversation. We don't know who we're having next week, but maybe that would be the thing to do. We'll start to be able to announce it the week after. That'd be nice. We should add that to the thing. Anyway, thank you again to Cody Blue Snider, my brother. I love you. Thank you so much.
I love you both, and I love everybody watching this, man. Keep raising the vibe, baby. Let your freak vibe fly.
Join.